NCRP Productions presents Dread by the Impossible Dream, The Mothman Chronicles, Episode 1.
Hi, it's Sequoia, and I'd like to thank you for joining us here in the Point Pleasant, West Virginia woods. Today we'll be playing Dread. Dread is a tabletop role-playing game developed by The Impossible Dream and written by Epadiah Ravicol. The game describes itself as a game of horror and hope. Those who play will participate in a mutual telling of an original macabre tale. The goal of Dread is to sustain the delicate atmosphere that invokes the hand-quivering emotion that lends its name to the game. The main rules to keep in mind as you come into the system: instead of a game master, the system uses the term host. I'm hosting tonight's game, not necessarily game mastering. The host is essentially the vehicle that the story is moved through. The system is very reliant on player-character interaction, and it leans on the choices of the characters more than that of the host. Another big departure from the typical tabletop role-playing game is the tower function in Dread. Instead of dice, or numerical or value-based stats and modifiers, the tower is utilized in Dread. The tower is a stack of wooden blocks, commercially known as Jenga. The tower also serves as a physical representation of the suspense, or dread, that is felt by the player characters throughout the game. As they pull blocks and the tower becomes more rickety, the sense of urgency begins to war with the need to be careful when pulling blocks. Pulls need to be completed with one hand, and the blocks must be pulled from below the top layer. Once you've pulled a block out, you place it at the top of the stack. When the tower falls, something tremendous happens. Generally, it's something serious that does end the player character's space in the game. It varies from game to game. And you also have the option of purposefully knocking over the tower, which is something called a hero's sacrifice. And you can, in a way, help move the plot along or help the other player characters succeed at a goal by sacrificing your own character. When a task is considered difficult or outside of a player character's ability, the host can require the player character to pull a block. The more difficult tasks can be broken into two stages. For example, locating the lost keys to a vehicle and then backing out of a narrow alley to freedom. You'd pull a block to find the keys and then pull another to successfully maneuver a difficult driving trick. Players can decide that making the pull isn't worth the risk of having the tower fall at any time, as long as it's before the block has left the tower. If they abandon a pull, they automatically fail the attempt. Character design has been distilled into the form of a character questionnaire created and tailored by the host to fit the adventure. The questionnaires are filled out before the start of the adventure. It's similar to a character sheet in that it does help the player lay out who the character is and what skills or abilities they could realistically have. The players should use these questions as an opportunity to flesh out who they're playing and to ensure they have a good handle on the limits and strengths of their characters. Now we're going to move into reading the character questionnaires, and we're going to start with Dave. Dave, what's your character archetype and the name of your character?
The name of my character is Silas Garrity, and my archetype is redneck.
What does it say on your sheet?
Oh, comic relief.
Perfect. Okay. I'm going to read the... redneck.
Already living up to your
Killing it. Okay, so I'm going to read the question, and then you'll answer and tell us more about how that fits to you.
Okay.
So the first question for the comic relief. That horrid, miserable, awful fucking nickname. Oh, how you loathe it. You've done everything you can to distance yourself from that nickname. Your career, your hobbies, your college degree, they all point attention away from the nickname. In an awful way, it also shaped your entire life. What is the nickname?
Stain.
Stain.
So constantly, I work in the woods. I work outdoors. Mm-hmm. Do a lot of land management, and what comes along with that is, I get my hands dirty, get my clothes dirty. And ever since I was a kid, people have been pointing that out. Mm-hmm. Got stains on my clothes. Mama didn't have the money to, buy me new britches, but you know what? I got what I got, and that's it.
Okay, I like that. All right, next question. Stain. So you all probably know Dave's character Silas as Stain. All right, next question.
I accept you guys calling me Stain, but really it's more of a derogatory thing. I was teased about it in elementary school and things like that. And
yeah, but
so we'd call you Stain more of like a term of endearment, or like
right.
Just like, hey, people use that term derogatorily towards you, but we're like, hey, what's up, Stain?
It's cool.
Yeah,
exactly.
it's a friendly thing. That's how you perceive it. Okay.
Stain.
All right, next question. You got the girl. It wasn't easy, but you got her. The prom queen, the cheerleading captain, the daughter of the oldest, wealthiest family in town. Why won't she sign the divorce papers?
Well, it depends on who you ask. Now, Crystal, she's a slippery slope. Complex woman, if you will. Truth be told, she's hooked on my moonshine.
Okay.
She's hooked on that old country swill. But if you ask her, she'll tell you that she's has a fiduciary responsibility to the Garrity Land Management Program. In layman's terms, or in English, she thinks she's inheriting part of the land.
Oh.
So she ain't going nowhere. Don't be fooled. She's got a full jar at her bedside every night.
Okay. All right. And then so just going back to like the Garrity land, is this something that you've inherited? Is this like a passed down parcel?
Been in the family for generations, 200 acres, outside of Hazard.
Outside of Hazard, okay. You've always felt a little excluded from the group, but that gave you lots of free time. Lots of time to practice your scout skills. It didn't help you out there, though. Not in those woods. What skill would have saved Eddie?
Wah, wah, wah.
Okay, bird calls?
Duck call.
Duck calls specifically.
He duck calls as kids. If Eddie remembered the duck call, we wouldn't have lost him that night.
Okay. Have you mastered it now?
Wah, wah. You tell me.
Okay. Everybody says that Eddie got taken by a drifter. Everyone also says that Eddie was taken by the Mothman. You know the truth. Who did take him?
I do. It was that military folk, the government. They're always watching. I think poor old Eddie wandered too close to the fence line and saw something he wasn't supposed to that night, and they gun scooped him up.
Okay.
And they probably got him in some strange room without any carpet, without any ham hock, nothing, no greens. Feed him bread and water, ask him questions under a bright light every night.
Okay. You won't call them visions, but ever since that night, things sometimes happen after you dream them. Since the flood, you can't stop dreaming about blood. Whose is it?
I don't know. All I know is that I'm running through the woods and I got bloodstains on my clothes. I don't think it's mine though.
Why are you so afraid of being buried alive?
Nobody will be able to hear me scream.
Eddie was too young to have a real will, but many summers ago, he wrote you a funny little last testament in the inside of a cereal box. What did he leave you?
Right here. Never leaves my side. Coonskin cap I'm wearing.
Okay. And why aren't you allowed to operate a vehicle?
Well, kind of embarrassing really, but I used to drive automobiles, but now if it doesn't say John Deere on it, I don't operate it. It's not really worth my time.
Okay.
But I did drive Ma's Plymouth through the Simpsons cotton field and done crashed it into their combine.
Okay.
Ever since then, they're not safe.
Okay.
I don't trust them.
Don't trust them. I feel like there's a lot of things in these answers about not trusting people.
Well, yeah, of course. And people aren't to be trusted.
Okay.
They've all got their own agendas and hidden meanings in their words. They use those complicated words.
You're a simple man. Is there anything else we should know about Silas?
I think the best moonshine this side of the Mississippi.
Best moonshine. Okay, now we'll pivot to Barry. Go ahead and tell us your character name and archetype.
So I am Albert Cook. Most everyone knows me by Al. Most everyone knows me by Al. The archetype is the co-captain.
Okay, first question. You've never been jealous of your ragtag team's fearless leader. He's never led you astray, and he never hesitates to help when he can. You're loyal to him. If he's King Arthur, you're Lancelot. But he can't know what happened back in high school, on prom night. The thing that made Eddie so afraid. You promised that you'd never tell the fearless leader, and honestly, it would change how he looks at you and the brother forever. What secret are you two hiding?
Well, that night, the three of us, Eddie, Johnny, and me, got our parents' guns and robbed the local cocaine dealer. Money, drugs, everything. That was the night before prom.
Okay. You saw the Stranger Danger specials. You know that Eddie wasn't taken by the Mothman. That's stupid. What really happened is much worse. Way worse. What did happen to Eddie?
Eddie was very pretty. Always drew offhand looks from some of the local men that, the funny ones. I'm pretty sure one of them grabbed him. took him into the woods, and, well, we're in mixed company.
You couldn't leave Point Pleasant fast enough. You couldn't forget what happened fast enough, but your body never left. You wake up often, miles from home with no shoes on. Always headed home, always headed back to the woods. Once, you returned to Point Pleasant to visit family, and woke up digging holes in the dirt in the woods. What do you think your dreams of animal graves means?
Oh, it's pretty simple. We thought we had killed those 2 goddamn dogs Cooter had, but I always hear them howling on that night, howling in my dreams. I figure I'm digging up the graves to be certain they're still in them. See, there's stories. They tell of the chemicals in the ground. The chemicals bring things back to life.
You were arrested and tried and spent time in jail. What did you do?
Well, I was actually arrested twice for selling drugs. First time was well worth it. I learned the trade, I learned connections, found a lot of ways to make even more money faster. Second time, not so much. That's what finally set me straight.
Do you think it was worth it overall?
If I had to do it over again, no.
What weapon is on your person?
I carry a loaded Glock at all times.
Is it legal?
It is not legal.
You aren't afraid of much anymore, but you were always afraid of Eddie's mom. Why?
Eddie's mom, she just had this way of looking at you, looking into your soul, making you fess up to your sins. That woman was scary.
In prison, they called you El Toro. How did you get this nickname?
Well, I would egg people on, anyone bigger than me, keep them off me. The easy way was to taunt them. I'd take off my shirt, I'd hold it out like them bullfighters used to be on the television, and I'd call them towards me.
And why did you give that nickname to the comic relief?
Well, so Stain says he was nicknamed because of his dirty pants. That's bullshit. Really, it's because he shit his britches junior year after homecoming game. He was trashed on his own fucking moonshine.
Okay.
I can neither confirm nor deny those allegations.
Alrighty, and so now we'll move to Josh. And go ahead and tell us your character's name and
Alright.
your archetype.
So I'll be playing Johnny Williams, the brother.
Brother of who?
Eddie?
Oh,
No.
Eddie's brother, huh?
No.
Brother of the fearless leader.
Brother of the fearless leader.
Oh. That changes a whole lot of stuff.
Like older
Yeah.
brother Chet or like younger brother?
Younger by 2 minutes, or
Okay, well, let's move into the questions.
regretfully.
It wasn't easy growing up as the second twin. Second born, second thought, second fiddle. When you and the co-captain did what you did on prom night, it was supposed to happen with the fearless leader, your twin. How did you feel when it happened with Eddie instead?
So, Eddie didn't need to be there that night when we went after that coke dealer. I mean, he was a good kid. He was too good for that kind of stuff. Really, it should have been Jimmy. It should have been my older brother, but of course, Al didn't think he would go along with it. He thought he'd rat us out. So he talked me into bringing Eddie along, and I regret that to this day, exposing him to what we had to do that night.
Eddie was your friend first. You didn't even think the rest of the group really liked him. But everyone came back for his funeral after ignoring your messages and letters for years. What were you trying to tell them?
If everybody would have listened to me, I mean, it was obvious that the Mothman or the military or whatever you believe, that was all just a way to write Eddie off and not have to do the hard work looking for him. And it's obvious we didn't do enough. So I think everybody else didn't want to face that. And obviously it's too late now that we're attending his funeral.
What makes you so sure that Eddie was taken by a drifter?
Like I said, the Mothman or the military, all these conspiracies or urban legends, they're just an easy way to leave Eddie out wherever he was or whoever took him. It had to be something that's got a real explanation, something that's grounded in reality, and something like a drifter makes a lot more sense.
Okay, makes more sense. Why won't you let yourself buy any more pets?
Well, as everybody knows, when Eddie disappeared, I adopted his hamster after that, and let's just say I wasn't really focused on the hamster in light of his disappearance. Maybe it was the grief, maybe it was something else, but I let him die due to neglect. So wasn't really suited for animal ownership, I believe.
What did you do with the hamster after it died?
Still got it.
Barry has mimed throwing like a softball.
Or mounted on the wall.
My thought went
Mount on the hood of your car.
thought went right to, oh shit, that's right, and then
We buried the hamster where we last saw Eddie, down in the TNT area.
Should have had taxidermy. Take him everywhere.
Why did Eddie's mom forbid him from playing alone with you when you were kids?
Well, like you said, we were best friends before. I didn't even think anybody else really cared much about Eddie. We would go off on our own once in a while, and one day we got stuck exploring some of the caves out in the TNT area, and Eddie's mom had to come find him, and since then she always kind of believed I was a bad influence. So.
Okay. And where were you when you found out about Eddie's remains and the flood?
I was at work, actually, doing a menial job that comparatively seems very unimportant at this point, but I had to leave work early that day.
Okay. In a way, you've made a living trusting your gut. Ever since that night, you just have an inkling about things. What is your job, and how has this impacted your relationship with your family?
Well, I became an investment advisor. I always had sort of a hint of what's to come in the marketplace, and made a decent living making, wealthy people wealthier. Kind of poured myself into my job, and that kind of caused problems at home, and with my brother we kind of grew apart, I guess you could say. And my wife, she didn't have problems signing our divorce papers when she left me. Let's just say that I kind of poured all my work into my effort into my job, and that didn't really pay off.
Why are you planning to leave the country after the funeral?
Well, I think it'd be nice to get a fresh start. I just always kind of had trouble around Point Pleasant and with these people, and I think a fresh start would really do me well for moving past things.
Okay. All right, and finally we'll move to Pedro. Go ahead and tell us your character's name and archetype.
Hey everybody, it's Pedro. I am playing James Jimmy Williams, the fearless leader, and brother to Johnny.
You've never been able to leave a friend behind, even Eddie. What do ghosts look like?
Well, ghosts, they look the same way, honestly, that they looked when you last saw them before they died, last time you saw them. And always at the corner of your eye, or just in passing glances. And until the flood, I never really knew why Eddie was the only one that ever looked different to me, and why it took so long for me to see him.
Okay. Ever since the flood, you've pored over the books and reports. You're pretty sure you know where Eddie's body came from. What's stopping you from going back in the woods?
I wish I had a solid answer. I've tried to go back to the woods. I've even got to the edge of it, to the tree line, and I would always just stop. Tried going to multiple places on the tree line in the woods. After the flood, I'm sure I know where he's at, but I can't get myself to go past that line. I know that I can't do this alone. I need all of us there. That's what I know.
What happened out there changed you. Scholarships and awards meant nothing after what you saw really existed in the shadows. But you're not afraid anymore. Not after what you saw in the woods and in your dreams. What did you dream of the night before they found Eddie?
I dreamt the same thing that I've dreamt before multiple times. Trying to go back into those woods. This time was different. Normally, just like if I tried to go during the day or at night or in real world, I would get to the edge. But when I was there, I couldn't go forward. But then I felt them on my shoulders, the hands of my friends, and I looked back, and those that I've seen in pictures, see what they look like. I would see their faces now, or if I haven't seen them in a while, I'd see their faces from then. And I knew I could do it, so I took that step, but the moment I stepped into the woods, I saw them. I saw the 2 red glowing eyes flying towards me, and behind it a wall of water, and then I woke up in a cold sweat, drenched.
You found something in Eddie's room right before he went missing. He must have ordered it through a magazine or something, because there's no way his mom would have bought it. What is it?
I really don't know how. He must have lied something good on whatever he mail ordered, because it was the largest Bowie knife I'd ever seen, and I still have it. I knew where he hid it, and I knew after he was lost he wouldn't want his mom to find it. So I grabbed it, trying to keep a good image.
How could you kill with it?
I don't know if I could. I know if I thought about it, if I ever find who or what did this to Eddie or took him, then I think that would be the time that I could use it. But sharp end, squishy body part, or whatever it is.
You see the townspeople's faces when you walk by. You know what they say, but you can't let it go. You can't stop the interviews and the research and the books and the message boards. You have to learn everything you can about the Mothman of Point Pleasant. Who did you lose in your search for the truth?
Probably be easier to say who I didn't. I don't get invited over to family's house. Mom and Dad are still alive. So is my sister, but she moved away, and my brother's off doing his big fancy job. We don't really talk anymore. I get a generic Christmas card each year, though, at least from him. I recently, a couple months ago, lost my longest held girlfriend at 3 years. I'm honestly surprised it lasted that long.
You know that the comic relief is married to your old sweetheart. You got their wedding invitation. Did you attend?
I did attend. I mean, we're friends, so I went there. I paid my respects, and honestly, it's been so long. I wanted to talk to him about Eddie, but during the wedding, I couldn't get close enough to him, or when I did, whether it was a brush off or just there were so many people, I just couldn't get to him quick enough for a conversation about him. And it was harder than I thought, seeing her again.
Why did you stay in Point Pleasant?
I couldn't leave. I couldn't leave Eddie behind. Even before the flood, until I knew what happened to our friend, I've tried to leave. I even packed a bag once, drove to the county line, but every time I would leave, or try to leave, I would see him. Corner of my eye or passing glance, I would see Eddie, and I couldn't leave. I couldn't, not until it was finished.
When you are invited to family gatherings, why don't you go?
Well, I tell myself it's because I just can't stand to be around them anymore, that they weren't supportive enough, that they are disgusted in me, they're just saying pleasantries if I go, but deep down I know that it's my fault, that one person's obsession, as they would call it, is someone's drive, and I can't leave this be. And if they can't understand that, well, then that's on them.
Okay. At this point, because there are less than 5 players at the table, we will pool 3 blocks for each number under 5, which is 1. So you guys can decide who pools, but we need 3 blocks out of the tower.
I'll pull first.
And then while we're pulling, do you want to get us going on the intro for the rules and...
Yeah.
You
Unless the tower falls right
so
here.
The flood, so they discovered Eddie's remains because of a flood?
Yeah, I was a little...
That's what the news said?
We're going to get it, yeah.
The paper said? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll get into the flood a little bit once we officially start. And so, yeah, Jenga rules. You can pull any block from beneath the top layer. You can change your mind on pulling
You put it on top.
Yeah, you put it on top. You can change your mind on pulling a block as long as you haven't completely removed it from the tower. You can only use one hand. If the tower tumbles, we rebuild it and we pull 3 blocks for each person at the table. You are able to sacrifice your character, whether that means he dies or something else happens, by knocking over the tower purposefully. And
Can you straighten it when you?
Yeah.
yes, you
The
can
top
straighten
level
it.
can be straightened.
And then let's see. Oh,
It's
yeah,
gonna be challenging.
that's the whole point, Josh.
It's supposed to be stressful.
Yeah.
I also oiled all the bricks too, so.
Oh man.
Does anyone have any game mechanic questions? Pretty straightforward. I will prompt you to pull blocks at a certain point.
Tension already.
Yeah, I'll say like in order to do X, you'll have to pull 1 or 2, and the difficulty of the task increases the amount of blocks you pull.
All right.
Okay, we'll begin. The flood brought lots back. It washed garbage and license plates and old bikes onto the banks of the Ohio River. It carried mud and fallen trees. It brought up things that hadn't been seen in the light of day in decades. And it brought back Eddie. You are all gathered at the back of a small crowd in the cemetery of the little church Eddie always went to. Eddie's mom, a fearsome woman with wild gray hair and blank eyes, is giving a eulogy beside Eddie's still open grave. You arrived late and were absolutely not invited to the funeral. As you're walking up to the crowd, I'd like you guys to narrate where were you when you heard about the flood and about Eddie's remains, and what happened on your journey to the funeral.
Well, what was said in the media or whatever? I mean, how did we hear about it? What did we hear?
Huge flood. The Ohio River overflooded. It washed up.
Like levees broke or something, that kind of thing?
Precisely. And it washed mostly just garbage and gunk onto the banks of the Ohio River. But Eddie's remains were found, and after an autopsy, it was determined that it was in fact his body. And you heard that there was a funeral in town through the local paper. Or if you heard about it another way through a friend or family, you can decide that.
Is it open or closed casket?
It is a closed casket.
Is Eddie in there?
And there's a photo of Eddie at his, junior year of high school. So we'll go around the table and where were you when you heard about Eddie, and what kind of brought you to the funeral? Were you in town? Did you have to travel? How do you feel about coming to somewhere you're not invited at all? We can start with Dave.
Well, I was at home when I heard about the flood and the remains that were dredged up, but I think it's just a cover-up story. You know, the media and the government, they're tied, they go hand in hand. And, well, anytime a natural disaster like this occurs, they need to come up with a story to, maintain order. Most people aren't prepared like myself, when order breaks down, okay? I got my fiddles, I got my rifles, I got my dogs. What more do you need, And I got the my own special blend, the Kentucky Kraken.
Kentucky Kraken.
Oh yeah. So I don't think Eddie's in that casket at all. I think it's a whole cover-up, and I think the government still got him in some small room somewhere. But I'm aiming to find out when I get to that funeral.
Okay.
Oh, I'm aiming to find out.
Well, I mean, I never left town, so the flood was all over the news. It impacted everybody here. And honestly, at this point, I have all kinds of, Google alerts, or I scour, news articles for the town, just looking for anything, any evidence, any little minor thing that might be a lead. And well, the flood happened. I, delved into that and read between the lines of some of the, news articles, and talked with some people who will still talk to me down, at the news, and, where I get my information. And there was word that there was a body. And then, I still have some people who I talk to around town. I heard about the funeral, and I knew I couldn't miss it. I also had to see the body. I have to see what became of him. See if there's any clues to where he could have been. See if there's anything strange about it. I don't know what his body might look like now, but I can't miss this. I don't care who stops me. I'll see him.
Well, as Al, I was on the couch at home. Living in Columbus, Ohio, we get some of the feeds that come up from Point Pleasant. And when they announced the flood itself, it wasn't a huge surprise. I mean, floods happen every 5-10 years, flow the banks. But when they announced that a body had been found, at least the remains of such, that was something that made me sit up and take notice. And so I called a couple of friends I still got back at Point Pleasant. Manager at the Piggly Wiggly was the one who finally told me that, yeah, they think they had found his remains, and I wasn't going to miss out saying my goodbyes, invited or not.
Well, when I got the call from Al, it's the first time I heard from him in a while, but I almost knew exactly what it was going to be about. I was at work, and immediately took the rest of the day off to get ready, make the trip into town. I really would appreciate finding some sort of closure, now that we found his body, maybe learning a little bit more about what caused the disappearance so that we can all move on and quit preaching these conspiracy theories and myths.
Over the years, things have happened for all of you in strange, almost guided ways. You've got job opportunities, met people, come across scenarios that you think must have something had a hand in it. And as you all come to this funeral, you see each other across the field, and you've arrived at the same time. It's like something out of a movie. And as you walk closer to where Eddie's funeral is being held, you hear Eddie's mother mid-speech. He was always just so little. I didn't think he'd ever break past 5 foot. But junior year, he finally hit 5'2", and it was like the sun started shining on him again. And he just finally hit 5'2", and it wasn't fair that he was taken. Eddie's mother breaks into tears and is escorted to one of the folding chairs by a woman that you all recognize as Eddie's distant aunt. Quickly, the coffin is lowered, and people begin taking their leave. You all can tell the moment that Eddie's mother spots you. Her face blanches white and then becomes red with anger. The fire that you remember in her eyes is absolutely there. And she marches firmly towards Johnny.
Of course. What's Eddie's last name?
Fitzgerald.
Miss Fitzgerald.
How dare you come here, you Williams boys and the rest of you rabble. How dare you show your faces here. And she's gonna reach to slap your face, Josh. You can make a pull to catch her hand.
I'm kind of guilt ridden, so I'm gonna just let her.
She slaps you silly. She gives it to you.
Not just one.
Yeah, she goes, and she's weeping. She's got snot running down her mouth. She does not look good. She kind of smells like she hasn't been bathing.
So, yeah, in a sense, like I feel partly responsible in a way. So I'm welcoming the opportunity to be a bit of a punching bag, but obviously,
The same aunt who guided her to her chair approaches and catches her hands. Do the rest of you do anything?
So
thanks, guys.
Miss Fitzgerald, I'm sorry that we showed up all of a sudden. We
I don't want to hear about your Mothman, any of it. You need to leave.
We're just here to pay our respects.
You've done enough.
Please, Miss Fitzgerald, I listened to you. I stopped calling, but we.
You shouldn't be here. None of you should.
He was our friend.
He was my son. That's more than any of it.
But don't we have a right to pay respects?
The aunt will begin pulling her away from you guys.
I want to try and do something while the commotion.
Absolutely.
If we have the opportunity.
Yes, just jump in.
So, you said they've lowered the casket down into the grave.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this reunion's taking place. So I'm going to try and move over to the grave. I'm going to hop down in there.
Okay.
Without anyone noticing.
Okay, well, let's take it a little slower. So you move towards the grave.
Okay.
They have a mechanical
Like hoist thing?
Hoist, yes. The undertaker grave attendant is lowering the casket into the ground. There is a figure standing. It's just the kind of the grave worker and then this small figure. He's about 4.5 feet tall. He's wearing a very faded shirt. It's basically gray. I think maybe it was green once. Dusty work boots, patched boots. And he's looking down into the grave.
I'll walk up and look down into the hole.
The casket is closed, and he's going to turn his head to look at you, and he's going to be looking at your wristwatch specifically. Is there anything special about it?
My wristwatch? Mm-hmm. Well, it's an older Casio model. The time reads 12:43 and hasn't worked for years.
As you...
But it's got a calculator on the face.
Okay.
I understand the compulsion to, feel jealous about, it's probably the most technology advanced piece of equipment I own.
Do you look at this person? Do you look at them any closer than just glancing?
Yeah, I look at him,
This is a very small man. This is a 4.5 foot tall man.
So he's eyeballing my watch.
He's gonna go. The little clicker. What's that do?
Clicks.
Clicks, 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 clicks.
As he watches it, I want to move my hand slowly to my left side as I
And he'll lean around you to peer and follow your hand.
I've got my jacket there, and so he's not in front of me.
He's beside you,
okay.
And he's leaning in front of you to look at whatever you're doing.
All right.
And he's still kind of muttering.
I want to reveal the top of my flask.
What a square metal shiny? What that?
Those are numbers.
Numbers are they catalog. They keep track.
What do you mean?
Numbers make order of times, things, dates, people, places, items, concepts, memories.
I take a step back.
He'll follow you. He moves closer. He's kind of peering up at you, and he's definitely got a very weathered face. He's kind of grimy. There's not a lot of facial hair, but there's a little bit of bristles on his mustache and his chin.
I'm sure we at this point now, because it's
Yeah.
not as quick.
Pivoting
what the
back.
fuck is Stain doing over there?
Yeah,
What's he doing with the midget?
Eddie's aunt has taken Eddie's mother and is taking her to the car. So going back, he's going to reach out and touch your flask.
Oh, no, I'm not going to let him touch the flask.
Okay, what do you just smack his hand?
I'm going to be like, I step back and say, you mind?
Mind, thoughts are minds.
Gentlemen, I think we step in. This does not look like it's going the right
I
way.
cover the flask back up and say, I'm here to pay my respects. I strongly suggest you keep your distance.
So you guys approach and you enter just in time to hear him say, Eddie. Eddie can't be found by looking.
Who said that?
The little man. The small man.
Is he a midget?
Yeah, he's a little person.
Okay.
Silas, what's going on here?
Eddie can't be found by looking.
Al, long time no see.
Silas, how's it going?
Oh,
Hey.
Jimmy. Who's Al?
Yeah. Al.
Oh, that's Al. All right. That's how long it's been.
You've been drinking. You've been drinking a while already, Stain, right?
It's-
You came loaded.
It's
He's
Jimmy.
all Kentucky crack.
Small man will say, numbers, metal flask.
He's all Jimmy. Or no, what's your character?
Johnny.
This is why I wanted name cards.
Everyone else wrote the names down.
Just in case.
Well, yeah, but
The drunkard didn't.
Johnny, we got to talk. Perfect.
That's
Glad
Jimmy.
You're here. We gotta
You're
talk.
twins, right?
Kentucky.
Just in case that wasn't clear.
Yeah.
Johnny Jimmy.
Well, hey, we need to talk. You're into that investment thing, right? That interweb
We
thing.
can talk later.
Okay.
Silas, that can be like. What were you saying about Eddie?
So at this point, the small man is crouched down beside the open grave, and he's kind of pulling at the grass on the edge, and he'll look back at you, and he'll say,
And I'll crouch down too.
Eddie, you won't find him by looking. The last of the three will yield.
I'm gonna pull out like a little notebook.
The last of the three will yield, and he'll point it at your wristwatch, Albert, and go clicky numbers, time,
I look back at that.
time,
We got to
I'm not sure what the fuck he's talking about. It's digital.
and then he'll actually poke your shoelaces, Jimmy, and he'll kind of pull the bow out if you let him.
I'm Johnny.
You're Johnny.
I'm Jimmy. Nice.
Johnny, Al, Jimmy, Silas.
You want to take the faceplate, the
Stain.
nameplates out now?
I wanted the nameplates, but Josh.
While all this is going on, I'm going to take the flask. I'm going to take a swig. I'm going to pull the flask out. I'm going to pour a little bit onto the cask, and then I'm going to take a swig
Okay.
for Eddie.
I'm straightening my tie and my collar from when I was assaulted previously, and just kind of
Yeah, your
sighing.
cheeks kind of are warm.
Yeah, it's like
The only other
somebody's
person
actually giving Jimmy the time of day on his, out there theories.
So I'll look. You, do I recognize this person?
You've never seen this
No.
man before.
What do you mean? Do you know something about Eddie? Why?
He's-
Who? What's your name?
He's trying to tie back the bow on Johnny's shoe now.
Oh,
And
yeah,
he's
no,
ignoring you.
The other gentleman that's there,
I'm
that's
pulling my
lower.
feet
The
away.
grave attendant
Yes.
is trying to
Gotcha.
lower it as quickly as possible.
So as I notice him, I'm like, Frank, that you?
Hey Al.
How the hell did you get this? Hey, I just thought of something. Stop what you're doing. Bring it back up, just real quick. Bring it back up.
No, I'm not allowed to do that. Sorry, Al.
Come on, Frank. You know us. You know us from back when.
This is
You know?
remains. There's all this laws. I don't want. No.
All right, you can do the touching. You know what we're gonna do if you don't.
I don't think it's worth it, to be real honest with you.
Oh.
There's
What's Eddie's mom's name?
her name is Norma.
Hey, don't look now, but I think I see Norma.
I'm definitely not bringing it back up if Norma's coming back over.
Stan, what the fuck are you doing?
The small man is going to
Frank.
stand up now and sprint it towards the woods.
Who?
Look at
Frank,
that guy.
just one shot. Just one shot. Lift.
Absolutely not. No, and if you guys don't leave, I'm going to call the authorities.
I'll stand
Are
up
my
and look at
shoelaces
Frank.
still
and-
tied?
One of them is very poorly knotted and in a mess.
Okay, so I'll crouch down and fix that.
Frank, come on, just can we do? We just
One
want,
look.
We just
You
wanna
could
see
be the
him.
one that opens the casket,
Jimmy?
Frank.
Jimmy,
Come on, guys.
There ain't
Frank.
no one around. Look around. There ain't
he's
no
going
one
to pull
around.
himself out. I'm going to call them. I'm going to call Cheryl, and she'll come down here and arrest all of you. I'm not lifting this
Frank,
back
you're
up
not
again.
going to do that.
Don't.
It's
call
us.
And then the
Cheryl.
coffin thuds on the bottom, and he picks up a shovel meaningfully.
Frank, please. I.
Seriously, get out of here. I'm calling. And he'll start dialing with one hand.
Guys, let's go.
Okay, fine. Frank, you could stop. We're gonna go. Can I ask you? Do you know who that was? That just ran off into the woods.
It was a leprechaun.
Who?
The little man that was here just a minute ago. He was right here. We were talking to him.
No. I've never seen him before. He must have been from out of town. Get out of here, seriously.
All right, guys, we should just go.
Why have we been asked to leave? We're paying our respects to long lost brother.
Johnny, you're gonna get this, shiver down your spine. And you know, 100% to the core of your being, Eddie's still alive. You just know that. And you have a feeling that you now need to share some information that you have. Go ahead and open the slip of paper that you had.
Come on, Jimmy.
The grave attendant is furiously shoveling the dirt.
So,
Maybe on second.
On the walking out, Frank, you need to pull the ribbons out first from under the coffin.
okay. So I start to walk away, and then I stop and I look back. Did you want me to just read this out loud?
I actually wanted to give Josh some space if he wanted to react to
okay,
the
go for it.
feeling.
Yeah.
What? My question was was there an autopsy or anything, or do we not know?
Do you ask that to the group?
Well, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have really thought about that before, I guess. But
They didn't bring up shit on the TV.
were there
News reporters
any
pretty
photos?
slight.
Who told you guys?
I caught it on the evening news.
So I'm gonna turn, start walking, and I'm gonna look over at Silas, and I'm gonna say, guys, come this way. Stain, when I say I need you to go take that cell phone, we have to see Jimmy. We have to know that
Cell phone. What are you talking about?
he's about to call that. He's gonna call the cops if we do what we're about to do.
What's the Undertaker's name?
Frank,
So I need you to go over to Frank. Take
you don't
that
remember
cell
Frank?
phone.
You're behind us in
Out
school.
of character, I was asking.
He's the one that we tossed in the garbage cans.
He hates you guys.
I know.
I saw the autopsy report.
You did.
I have to see that body. He was.
I don't think he's in there.
The autopsy report, they checked, Stain, they checked his teeth. The report said it matched. He was 10 years older than when
Check
he
his
left.
teeth. For what?
For dental. Stain, we'll get to that in a minute. Just the point is, we have to see the body. I have to know if it's correct. I only saw the report. It said he was out there for 10 years. 10 years running around, doing something. His body was laced with high levels of TNT, DNT, and all these other chemicals I can't even pronounce.
Frank.
Wait,
Stain, get the hell out of here.
Hey, I know you got a job to do, but hey, it's been a long. I don't get up to these part of the woods very often, but I like to pay my respect as I pull my coat back and Kentucky Crack, it's called.
You're still making shine?
Oh no, I'm making the shine.
say,
Filter through a specific layer of onion peels.
2 minutes. And then you leave. Promise?
Got a fresh taste in the trunk.
Okay. All right. And he'll push the button to hoist it back up again.
Well, that's better than
I
what
just
I
look
thought.
at you guys.
We wait for the 2 minutes for it to get together.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Right back down.
So it will.
And so it's at level again.
So I'll get down and take a deep breath, and I'm gonna look around.
He's purposefully loitering in the direction of your car.
All right.
So and then I'll brace yourself, and I'm gonna open it up.
There
Inside.
there is a corpse in there. There is a waterlogged, mostly rotted corpse. It is of a man of small stature, like Eddie was. There's some scraps of brown hair still clinging to the skull, but this is more of a skeletal remain than any kind of, like, body that you could recognize. Are you looking for anything in particular?
So
How much do we know about
did they
genitals
do
would be
anything
the
to
thing.
his corpse? Did they put him in any clothes? Is he in what he died
He
in?
is in the same suit that he was in the photo, the one that's beside the grave.
And it's a new suit. It didn't rot on him.
It's the same suit from the photo, but it's not what he was wearing when he went missing.
All right.
So it's been preserved.
All right, good.
And
Yeah.
so I'll tell everybody, and I'm not even probably paying attention to you guys much. I'm saying the report said that when they found his body, he was wearing the same shirt and presumably the same underwear that he was caught, that we were out there with.
You all know that his mother sewed his initials into most of his garments.
It said they found the initials there. They were still present, and he had a... And I'll look down, and I'll pull the pant leg back to look and see if I see the broken bones.
You can make out a healed break in the leg in the same place that Eddie broke his leg.
We all know that break.
You all remember when Eddie broke his leg?
Yeah.
Are we all standing around this thing?
But Johnny,
or-
you know he's alive. You're certain.
Here he is.
So I'll kind of look around, feel kind of
It's-
cold on the back of my neck, and glance around the clearing just to see if.
I just start crying. I'm just like, it's really him. He is dead.
Are we all standing around this thing?
Yep.
So, because Frank went over to the car.
He's loitering in that direction. He's meandering.
And what about, we just popped the lid on the casket. Right?
Nobody else
Did
is
anyone
around.
else... I'm looking around to see if anyone else noticed us pop the lid on this thing. We're all standing
There's-
around this thing.
everyone
Especially
else-
normal.
yeah.
Keeping
Was
an
it
eye
not
for
still
normal.
in? Oh, we lifted
So the
it.
rest of the funeral party has moved to the wake. So they've all driven off.
Okay, they're all gone. So it's just us and the Undertaker.
Correct.
Okay, all right, gotcha.
So I'm just gonna be looking down as I'm crying. I'm just gonna start basically shouting from like low to high. I'm gonna be like, "You were out there for
You're shouting this?
10 years,
Frank looks
and
back.
you couldn't come home. You couldn't find your way back, Eddie.
Jimmy.
Why?
Jimmy.
What
Jesus.
happened to you?
Rein
What
it
did
in.
he do? You had to. You couldn't fight back. You were stronger than this. Wait, what did that did the creature, did the Mothman do this to you? How could he?
Oh God, Jimmy! Come
And
on.
I'm shouting, and at that point I just start shaking the like corpse.
Frank is watching you guys
So I'm
now.
gonna lean in and grab Jimmy. Come on, man. Come out of there. Come out
I'm
of
gonna
there.
go
I'll
like,
fight for a second, and then let go. I said, I can't. It has to pay. It has to pay for what it did to him. 10 years he suffered. He's laced with TNT. He's laced with all these chemicals. He was stuck there. Something kept him there. This creature, this fucking Mothman. You.
Tell us what those chemicals being in the remains means.
Well, all of those bunkers out there, all of them in the, I forget what it's called.
The ordnance works.
Yeah, the ordnance. Yeah, the ordnance works. They have all of those igloos. He must have been living in them. He had to have been out there. I did the math. I can show you all.
Well, he always loved those caves and all that, all the igloo, all the area around the igloo. But why wouldn't he just come back to town if that were the case? Why, if he was just living out there, why wouldn't he just come back?
For the same reason I've been trying to tell you all these years, Johnny, because something was keeping him out there. I know you, Mom, and Dad, I know all of you think I'm crazy. I know you are tired of hearing my calls. I've called each of you to try and tell you. I know you haven't heard from me in a while. I haven't seen you since your wedding. I tried to tell you there was something wrong. I tried to get you to come with me. to find him.
Well, even if he was out there for 10 years, that doesn't mean it's the Mothman. I mean...
But what it means is we could have done something.
What it means is I kick the side of the coffin. That ain't Eddie.
Frank starts to come back over once you kick it. You can't kick it. Are you kidding?
I'm gonna try and meet him as he starts to head this way to kind of head him off and be like, go over and open up the trunk.
He will follow you.
Yeah.
I agree with Stain, but don't let that give you any ideas, Jimmy. They could have just thrown any corpse in here. I mean, a break in the leg isn't proof of anything.
We have to figure out what happened. I know you guys are probably tired of hearing it, but just come. You're here. Can I ask you to come back to my place? I have something I can show you. I can show you the maps that I've made, all of the information I've collected. I know where we need to go search. We could go and look.
Check the teeth!
We could go
The
find...
teeth!
We could find what happened, or maybe some clues or something. There has to be something out there, and maybe we can find that son of a bitch creature. And I don't know. We're older now. We're stronger. Maybe we could do something.
Maybe we could talk to the person who did the autopsy. Start at the morgue instead of running around in the woods in the middle of the night.
And over at your car, Frank is like, it was a weird thing.
What was?
Well, like it wasn't just Eddie's bones that came up. It was all those animals, all those critters.
Yeah, right.
I never seen it. It was like biblical almost.
People go missing all the time back in the woods, and people sink to the bottom of the river.
Oh, that's the weird
all
thing.
Different kinds of reasons.
That I kind of expected more than just Eddie, but it was just him, and then all those like deers and birds and stuff.
You mean to tell me you really believe that's Eddie in that box?
I don't know.
No way. I don't know.
Doc says it's Eddie, and
The government's got him. The government's
Stain
got
does
him.
not help
Stain.
in our case.
The
Stain.
government's got him. Got him some smaller. They're performing experiments on him, trying to extract information, and we got to rescue him.
You ain't changed a bit.
It's not a
You're
matter of
same
what.
old Stain.
No,
All
not a matter-
right.
I know it. I feel it in my bones.
He's gonna start with the creative of the Kraken. He's gonna start moving back towards the grave.
Hey, you didn't get this from me.
You didn't
Wow.
touch that grave,
But
know?
I'll tell you what, though, I can feel orders on this stuff.
Okay, pivoting back to the graveside.
Johnny, I have the reports at my house. I bought the autopsy reports off of Henry over there. I have the reports of what the doc. Well, we could talk to the doc, but they're not going to talk to us. I've tried. I tried. The best I could do was buy the reports off of them. That already cost me far too much.
So what are you proposing exactly, Jimmy?
Just hear me out. Just come back to my house. Just let me show you what I have, and then we'll go out there. We'll go for a quick look. I need you guys. I know we haven't talked in some time, but I need your help. And you're here. I know I couldn't get you here. I couldn't get you here, but Eddie has. If this is him, then we can't just let what happened just go. Are you telling me you're going to be able to go back to your big investment, whatever you do, and just let this die?
No, frankly, Jimmy, I mean, any other day I'd think this was the grief talking. I mean, there's a lot of unpackaged emotions here, I believe, that we all have to deal with. But for some reason, I think you might be onto something. And, I got to admit, it just doesn't feel right to me. It feels like something's off here.
Exactly.
Brother, you need my help. I'm here.
Al, thank you. Yes, now we just gotta get Stain to
Stain
join.
and Frank will rejoin the group at this point.
So I'll go to Frank. I'll say, Frank, thank you.
You guys got to clear out now.
We will. I owe you one. I
You
appreciate
said,
it.
get out of here.
We will.
And you enjoy that now.
Stain, let's
Thanks, Frank.
go. We gotta
We better
talk to
get out
you.
of here and just give Frank a case of water.
All right, part 2 is Frank coming for you.
It wasn't the Mothman. It was Frank all along.
Real stuff's under the back seat.
So So as we're leaving, I'll say, Stain, we're gonna go meet at my place. I have some stuff to show you guys.
Yeah, did you get the teeth?
The what?
You said the teeth. That's how. I mean.
No. They did the dental. Stain, I have the dental records. I have all the information at my house. That's what I'm gonna show you. And then Al and Johnny are gonna come look, and we're gonna go out into the woods. We need you to come with us. You're the best. You've always been the best going out there, surviving.
Woods. Okay, we're going on a field trip. Okay, I get that.
So here's my address. I'm gonna. I'll stop at the store, get some sodas like old times, and I'll meet you there soon.
Johnny, you good with riding alone instead of riding with you? I think I'm gonna go with Jimmy.
You think you get some of them pickled eggs?
Sounds good.
Yeah, Stain, don't think I forgot about those. I don't think any of us would.
Yeah, his favorite.
I appreciate the company, Al.
Of course.
So we re-begin again at your home with pickled eggs and soda. Why don't you?
Pork rinds.
Yeah.
Why don't you describe to us?
We got the Dr. Skipper.
Dr. Skipper and the pickled hard-boiled eggs. Hard-boiled.
Pork rinds.
So my house is a bit in shambles. There are newspapers, stacks of newspapers all over. There's all kinds of books. I have multiple bookshelves with all kinds of books. You'll if you peruse through them, you're going to see a whole lot on the Mothman. Some local authors, some not local. On the walls, you're going to see. In the living room, not as much. There might be a couple of posters of stuff from when we were kids, but they've been all like overlaid with a whole bunch of other things. And then in my study area, which is just converted bedroom, you're going to see the wall. One wall is taken up with a giant, like, multiple print put together map of our area with all kinds of tacks and strings and news clippings and sightings of the Mothman here. Other walls will have like sightings from elsewhere of the Mothman, and just all manner of multiple tables just scattered with papers. Some of them scrawled in my handwriting. Some printouts, all kinds of stuff. You'll see plenty of printouts from the internet. A couple computers, and so we're in my study, and with pickled egg in my hand, taking a bite. All right, now, look. So, the flood, from all the reports, the flood came.
Is camera on here? Is camera on? Can they see us with this?
There's no. There's the camera's off.
You sure?
Yeah. Yes. Oh. You know what? I know him well enough. I come over and take a sticky note and just stick it over the webcam.
Good idea.
And I'll say, nobody's listening. I'll just appease them. Say, I check for bugs regularly. Nobody's listening. So, look.
Is he serious? This is normal?
So then,
I'm not saying that loud, but
so these are all different sightings
a knowing glance
of the Mothman. This is he's been sighted all over the U.S. But here this is the home. This is the home base. This area, Point Pleasant, and so here's where we went out. Theoretically, we were somewhere in this area. When we were traveling, when Eddie was taken. And over here, you can see, you see the town.
Christ, Stain, is that spot where you hit Crystal the first time? You got that? Why you got that mark, Jimmy?
I'm gonna just say
that is a good question.
That has something to do with the Mothman. That has nothing to do with that. Anyway, moving forward, this over here, this is the West Virginia Ordnance Works. From the maps that I've cobbled together, this is roughly where the town is, and it was hard to find exactly where all the igloos were. They didn't exactly have that. I had to delve pretty deep even just to find a few of them. But here's where a couple of them are. Now, the flood says that it swept from this river, it overflowed, and it came this direction. Based on
out in the west, Jimmy, they worship this thing that walks around the woods. I think they call him Sasquatch.
Okay, yes, well, one cryptid at a time. That's all the way on the west coast. Don't worry about the Sasquatch. Whatever. Anyway, the Mothman, that's what we're focused on. He is in this area, and Eddie had to come from over here. The levels of all those chemicals in his body, he had to have been in an igloo over here. And based on the trajectory of the water, it had to be either one of these ones I know of, or another one along those lines.
You ever
If
considered
someone-
the fact that maybe Eddie wasn't taken by the Mothman, and maybe the feds got him and performed experiments on him, injected him with different chemicals to see what the reaction might be?
If someone wants to pull 2 blocks, you can learn something.
I'll pull a block.
And I'll pull one too.
Decision.
So yeah, you guys come into
So-
this childhood friend's house and it's disgusting. It's humid. It's kind of smelly. There's weird shit everywhere. How are we feeling?
Doing real well for yourself, Jimmy.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean, it's not I'm sure your place is much nicer, Johnny, but I make do with what I have. I still got that night job. They let me have a few days off this week to grieve. But yeah, I make do. I don't have mom or dad coming over anytime to see any of it, so
Yeah, we
Get-
missed you at Christmas last year.
yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I missed you guys too. But yeah, this is all of it. It's here. The answer is here, and I've been trying to figure it out. And now that you guys are here, we can go into the woods. We can go here.
So that was 2 successful pulls. Stain, you're looking at this kind of strange compilation of maps, and something that the small man said to you about the last of 3 will yield. At the Ordnance Works, there's 3 very large buildings that are labeled, factories 1 through 3, and they kind of even go in like a little line.
You know that little fellow there at the funeral? He said something about the yield of 3.
I'm just as I'm like going, I'm gonna stop and say, what?
Didn't you see the little fellow run off into the trees? The little guy.
Yeah. He was talking about Eddie. What did he say? I didn't catch everything.
Let me think here.
What did he say?
The last of 3 will yield.
The last of 3 yield like ordnance yield.
Well, I don't know what that means, but I see here on this picture there's 3 buildings there, and he was talking about 3 somethings.
Last of three. And I'm gonna look at all the other ones I have. Well, so there's a couple over here, but there should be ones farther over that way. There should be. That would be the last in the row of those are 1 through 3. Is that where we have to go? Did he say anything else?
No, I think Johnny scared him off.
And I'll look, and as I look, is that within the trajectory that I? Yeah, no. If and I'm just gonna take like several other pins, and I say, well, if we assume that this is where the yield of 3, so these 3, if the water came this way, then these ones, and I'll just take a few tacks and throw them away. Those ones would be out, and then these ones would work. But what about that conflicting? No. That's fine. And I'll tear off a couple newspaper clippings. It has to be. He's right. These 3 would be it.
So Al, this is someone that you trust and love. This is a good friend of yours.
Yep.
What's going through your mind as you're watching him kind of scrabble around?
Basically spiral. I've got to wonder what's been going on with him for the last few years. I'm feeling like maybe I should have returned one of those phone calls by now.
No, and actually, yeah. Now that I think I'm just gonna like kind of slap around behind me. Al, are you near me at all?
Yeah,
what I'm doing
not
is
that big a room,
what
right?
I'm doing. No. What I'm doing is looking for you, and I just like kind of hit back, and I say, Al, this is it. This is it. He has to have been living there. If we lost him here, it would make sense that he would have made his way. This could be it. These are marked. These might be even intact.
So you're
Kind
kind of fits with my theory. So you're thinking somebody held him in one of the 3 bunkers there?
I don't know.
Factories.
I don't know what happened. Whether the Mothman
Are these the factories
screwed
or the
his
bunkers?
brain
You hear
up.
that?
Factories.
The factories.
There's reports of people seeing the Mothman and it messing with their mind. He could have just witnessed some spiral in psychosis. He could have just been stuck out there. Maybe that's why he didn't come back. We have to go out there. We need to go out there. We need to check for maybe there's levels of the chemicals. Maybe they're really high up there. We could find.
Johnny, you heard what Al said, right? Bunkers. Who makes bunkers? The government.
Yes, the government made them and they hid stuff in there. But yes, theoretically that means they would be intact, which could be we could find where he lived. Maybe he wrote on the walls. Maybe we could find something that would explain what happened.
Jimmy, if that flood came through there, It would have washed everything out.
Not if he scrawled into the side of concrete. If he etched his
You're
way.
assuming he went crazy.
I don't know, but we have to figure this out. We owe it to Jimmy to look, even if we don't get anything.
Something that makes
Yeah.
sense to you, Albert, is
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that area...
Did I say Jimmy?
Yeah.
Eddie is what I meant.
That
Sorry.
area is pretty abandoned, and there's a lot of places where you could keep someone. You know
Well,
that there's
I know
abandoned-
that.
Yeah.
We've been up there. We might have buried a thing
You
or two.
haven't been to the ordnance works.
Not to that area.
Yeah, but you
Okay.
know all about it.
Okay.
One point of clarity, Jimmy. If we all believe that's not Eddie's body, which I firmly believe, then whose body was the autopsy done on? And the chemicals...
No, I think that was Eddie in the ground. Everything matched the leg. What are the odds that somebody else would have that break? The same dental records. There's no reports of the Mothman changing dental records. But what we need to do is go and find if there's any evidence of what happened to Eddie.
So you're willing to accept he was alive out there 10 years, but maybe not 17?
Well, his body was 10 years older, unless.
Yeah.
So
No, he
my
couldn't-
point is,
he
if he was out there for 10 years, he could be out there still, and this whole thing could be a smoke show.
I mean, I guess theoretically, if you were to work on a corpse like that, and then I'll go over to like a journal, like shove some papers over, and it's like the one journal that I actually wrote down, like what if this corpse? It looks new, like I just bought it, and it's got like the what if not Eddie, and then you'll see actually I pull out the file from the. Actually, I would have showed you guys already the coroner's file, and I like go in and I look at notes in the file, and I say, I mean, Johnny, it's possible, but what it would take to replicate a corpse like that, the aging, everything. Unless
you saw in the news how many other corpses, animal corpses, washed up. Who's to say there wasn't another corpse or two of a human?
I mean, they always did warn us about, folks living out there, drifters and whatnot. I mean, we went out there.
There's bad
Mighty
people
fine
out
place
that
to
way.
bury a body.
How
Well,
long
then-
ago was the flood? Did the flood rip through?
The flood was recent, within the last couple months.
So then we could at least. Well, and then I'm starting to like. In my mind, I'm starting to hear that these guys each really have drastic like. They're all wrong. It's the Mothman, but okay, fine. Let's play their game. I'll say yes. Okay, let's. If he's still alive, or if this was a cover-up by the government, or if drifters took him, there should be some evidence out there. Not a lot of people go out there, and if there was etchings or scrawlings or some evidence of him, why would they disturb it? What reason would anybody other than if somebody took him, maybe, but it's so far out there. If there was a murderer, they could have just left it. Who's going to go out there exploring? Let's just go out there, guys. We together, we could go out there. We'll have each other's backs. It'll be like back then.
So how
go
deep
find
in the
Eddie.
forest is this? I mean, you know these maps. How far are we going into the uncharted area? Are we going on private property?
Well, it's government
Past,
property.
past the TNT area, you'll be traveling about 5 miles.
It's not very far.
the train track?
We have to go. We have to go about 5 miles out. It's I know we're not young men anymore, but we're not old men. We could still make that trip easily.
Is it woods or swamp?
Both.
It might be a little swampy now after the flood too.
You know what I think we ought to do? With in lieu of in consideration of recent events, I always like to clear my mind before we make big decisions like this. I think we ought to go capture some bullfrogs.
Just hands in my head. We don't have time for that. We could go out tonight. Mm-hmm. The flood happened so recently. I don't want anything more decay.
You all go frog hunting tonight? Is what you're saying?
Johnny, you have a plane to catch.
If we find frogs, we might have frogs. There should be frogs out there. We'll find some frogs on the way. We'll get ready. We'll get all the stuff we need, and we'll head out there tonight. We'll try and head out before it gets dark. That way we can get there. And it'll be an easy trek. It's wet out there. We'll be able to find our way back easy. Even if we get a little turned around, we just have to follow our tracks back.
All right. Well, if we're going to do this, I mean, there's obviously going to be government, maybe military personnel out there. You got a piece. We might have to protect ourselves.
I don't own a gun.
You don't own a gun.
No, but I got. I'll like pull apart a few books, and there's like a little space behind it, and I'll pull out a box, and I'll say, well, I got this, and I'll set it down, and I'll say, before Eddie passed, or before Eddie got lost, I was over at his house, and he somehow bought this himself.
Al and Jimmy, this is familiar to you.
And I saw it one day, and I couldn't imagine how Norma would let him have this, and he must have paid extra or something because it's got a fun little engraving on it. And I'll open it, and you'll see that it's this big, large Bowie knife that has like Eddie Rules with a Z on it, like carved into it. And I'll say, maybe I shouldn't have, but I knew after he got lost, his mom would be mad if she found this, and I didn't want her to have a negative image of.
No, I think
Eddie.
you done good. I think you done good keeping it.
You know how to use that?
I've messed around with it a little bit. You don't see the piece of wood in the back that has all the stab marks in it.
Jimmy, neither Johnny or I got boots. I say we go down to Odell's, head over there, grab boots, maybe grab a couple other things, come back, we'll meet back. And I'm thinking we don't wait till tonight.
Yeah, no. We should
Eddie
leave
could
as
be
soon as
waiting for
possible.
us.
Yeah. Yes, Eddie could be waiting for us. We should go out as soon as possible. Get as much light as we can. I have a small little, get up and go bag for myself, but we do need to get some other things. And I'll pull out this bag and I'll open it up, and you'll see like a flashlight and some traveling gear.
Tell you what, you text me, let me know what you need. We're gonna head out now. Stain, you got this?
Got what?
Him.
Well, I'll go shopping with you.
You gonna come with? Let's make the
I
four
mean-
of us go.
You don't have a go bag in your trunk
stay
already?
Together. I mean,
Like, yeah.
I need to make sure y'all, are getting the right accoutrements for being out in the woods.
Maybe I should stay back and I can compile some of this and take the map down, make some copies. I can get the map and everything we could need.
So I'm giving like a open look with my eyes at Stain and at Johnny. Like, are we gonna leave him alone?
They got these things called they do now called interventions. You ever seen anything?
And I'm just over at the table, just like gathering stuff and
All right.
holding up maps.
I think it's gonna be okay.
All right, so Jimmy,
he's been on his own for a while.
I'm gonna get you. So Jimmy, you got this. We'll head down. Come back.
Be sure grab some food. If Eddie's alive, he might need something to eat.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll drop by the DQ on the way back.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll get everything ready here. I'll get the maps.
Eddie
and
always
everything.
liked them blizzards.
I'll laminate some maps for us. So yeah, I'll see you guys soon.
With the flood.
As we're walking out the door, I'm asking the other two. He's got a laminator.
With the flood's gonna make a lot of the wildlife run out of element. Probably plenty of roadkill if we don't want to pack too much food.
Foul. Terrible.
All right. Whose car are we getting in? Johnny's or Stain's?
Why do I imagine Johnny having like a really nice sports car?
I've got an old beat up Cadillac.
Well, you said you flew in, so it's a rental.
Oh, you flew in.
But, right, so it would be probably, something nice and well kept. Being a rental, it probably looks pretty clean and has 4 seats, four-door sedan maybe.
Okay.
I've got a Cadillac with bench seats in it. It's a kind
And
of a
some
beater.
steer horns.
It's got a 454 on it.
I think
Yeah.
for this one, we take Johnny's rig.
Going into town.
Yeah, and we can run through town. Let me know, what are you purchasing, and
Well, so does Jimmy end up sending me a list?
Yeah, I mean, I'll send you basic, exploration things. So, flashlights, because we're going to be out at night, some lantern, flashlight or lanterns,
Rope.
compass. I'm literally listing, exploration, a 50
In case
foot
we need to go
of
into a
rope.
long, deep hole in the ground, we need rope.
He's looking at the miscellaneous equipment
I
list.
do not think we need an ice axe. I'm going to
Steer.
scratch that one off.
Yeah.
A handheld wood saw.
What is Odell's?
Odell's the Ace Hardware.
It's basically the
Lumber
Ace
company.
hardware.
True value.
Yeah, they've got inside Odell's. Is there if I remember right, Mrs. Odell ran a little small cafe out of the back there where she had those
cookies.
those mincemeat pies.
Yeah.
Man, sounds good.
I'm
crowbar.
still saying we stop at the DQ.
Oh, DQ.
A crowbar.
We had more time, I'd say we stop at the Village Pizza Inn, but I don't know if we got the time.
And you're just getting like a whole bunch of different texts as I think of them too.
Right.
Crowbar.
Right, and every one of them, keep in mind for the time period, I'm flipping over the thing, I'm like, Jesus,
Bolt
he's
cutters.
good at texting. It's the one where you have to hit the letter 3 times to get the last
Yeah.
letter in the...
How do you live that way?
Sledgehammer.
I don't know.
Sledgehammer.
Sledgehammer.
So if I'm gonna just assume we're getting typical things: flashlights, compass, maybe like a little first aid
Do
kit
we
or
need to write
something.
these things down?
Nope.
Yeah, first aid
If
kit.
it's
First aid
anything
kit.
that isn't just like a typical thing you'd imagine, like if you are gonna get like a rock climbing equipment, maybe write
Go
that
for
down.
steaks.
How advanced is Odell's? I mean, is it like a market?
Picture
or-
like Pearson's. You could probably get
Ooh, Pearson's. Okay,
some-
I can get a crossbow at Pearson's, probably.
yeah. They you probably could. They'll have some things, but it's not like a sporting goods store.
Okay, it's not sporting goods. It's
But you could
building supplies.
probably get a shotgun there or whatever.
Really? Shotgun.
I feel like Pearson's has guns.
Do they
Yeah,
really?
yeah, they do.
I don't think they do.
Aces has guns.
Pretty. Ace has guns. Guns and knives. I don't think Pearson's has guns.
I don't think they have guns.
They do? They have guns in Pearson?
Aces absolutely has guns.
Ace got guns, yeah.
Pearson's, I don't know. I don't go there very often.
Well,
So yeah, if it's something funny or weird, write it down.
I think I want to. So if they don't have, do they have guns or don't they?
They have guns.
Oh, they got guns. All right. Because otherwise, I was going to try and get one of those slingshots, those wrist rockets.
How serious you want to go? We can go to T&D's.
Well, I mean, we got enough money for that kind of thing. How far? Well, I'm.
How much of a gun do you think you need?
So it's
Going in the woods.
It's 2 p.m. It gets dark around. It starts to get dusk around 6:30 here.
How much do you think we need out there? I mean, seriously, taking out as crazy about this Mothman
Yeah,
thing.
we're talking
What
about-
do you think we need? We're going in the woods. Maybe some bug spray.
Well, you got.
Maybe a fly swatter.
You got to watch out. You got gators. You got cottonmouths. You got. I mean, all kinds of stuff that start creeping around at nighttime.
The swamp's gotten that thick. I mean, I ain't keeped up with it, but
You don't remember kicking over boards as kids?
yeah, but we ain't kicking over boards going over there.
So I'm gonna buy some.
We'll grab each of us one of them walking sticks with the spear point on the end.
I want to get one of the little snake bite kits.
Sure. If it's within your character's financial range, I'm fine with whatever you guys get. You guys can go crazy. But just keep in
Well,
mind...
I'm not going crazy. That's
Yeah.
the
You
key.
get a snake bite kit, some surgical tubing. I'm gonna get 3 feet of surgical tubing.
Okay?
So when I
They got
heard,
surgical tubing at Pearson's or at Odell's.
No,
No.
when I heard the funeral
no, but
was
there's gonna
going
be
on,
plastic pipe. It ain't gonna be surgical tube, but something
No,
that we can siphon gas.
Yeah, surgical tubing.
That's
Yeah.
what he's
They
thinking.
might have surgical tube, some kind of elastic tubing.
Sure, you can find a tube that will suffice as surgical tubing.
All right, and I'm gonna need some.
What now, Pedro?
so
Some
when
of that shit we can get over at Tractor Supply.
Yeah.
When
What are
I-
the little cubes? The little gelatinous flammable cubes. The little sterno cube.
Little
The,
fire-
Right inside the lanterns.
yeah.
get
You
them.
can burn them little things, you know.
We can get them, but I say we get flat. It ain't the 1980s. We can grab flashlights.
Well, are their batteries going to cause them to flicker at the worst possible moment?
Of course.
ideally,
How long do you think batteries? We don't have to get the ever-readiest. We can get something good.
I'm gonna grab 2 red Sharpies.
2 red Sharpies.
And I do remember them Black Cat batteries, but there ain't no reason why we can't get something better like Energizer.
The 12
They ain't
volt,
gonna
the 12
They
volt.
ain't gonna kick out at 6 minutes, 6 hours. I mean, come on.
And I'm gonna buy a lighter. Is what I'm gonna buy.
Okay. You got a lighter surgical
I like show up with like one.
I've got a
flashlight.
lighter, 2 reds, 2
These guys
red.
have like full
That
batteries.
makes sense.
Boards.
Surgical tubing.
You haven't been here a while. You're off investing.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, what did we come for beyond flashlights?
Are you
Oh.
in Oxfords or Brogues?
Yeah,
And boots.
yeah.
You and I
That's-
both got
yeah,
boots.
I guess
I'm
I had
just
to get
picturing
boots.
like a suit and then some boots.
Yeah,
Yep.
So
I didn't
when
bring too many changes of clothes. I wasn't planning on staying beyond the funeral.
Yeah, Pedro, what are you doing back at the house?
So beforehand, when I had heard that the funeral was happening, I anticipated that these guys would be here. I just hoped beyond hope.
You had
So-
a feeling, you knew.
Yeah. So I had recently paid off all my credit cards, and then I now went and used them to buy supplies because I was hopeful we would go out.
Got the
Geiger
math,
counter.
math
The
manerator.
Geiger counter.
All kinds of crazy shit.
So so I have a crowbar,
Okay.
lantern, flashlight.
Both?
Yeah, both.
And you're going to carry all this into
Yes.
the woods for
Yeah.
5 miles.
Yeah, I'm that psycho.
Okay, fair enough.
I ended up with snake bite kit, which has the venom, the snake venom, the antidote in it.
Okay.
Those can attach to my backpack.
3 feet of surgical tubing, 2 red Sharpies, a lighter, and a large box of potato wedges, 24 count to be exact.
Okay.
That's all you need to go in the woods.
First aid kit. I have my maps. My journal.
You're like a walking lab.
I have the Bowie knife because I have to take that for Eddie.
Eddie rules.
Yeah. A little hand axe because we're going into the woods. And steel-toed shoes and a Zippo.
He's got all kinds of stuff hanging off his clothes. He's all ready.
I have a backpack that I slipped the crowbar and the axe into. I just look like it's not packed efficiently.
Okay.
I didn't look up much how to pack it so much as just buying the stuff.
All right.
So before we leave any of the places that we're leaving, I'm going to text back back to Jimmy every time.
Do you get anything particular, or are you just picking up standard?
I'm getting boots, flashlight, and then the other things that he's been telling me: rope, compass, sledgehammer.
What are you guys buying? What are you bringing all this
All right,
stuff for?
Johnny,
I have no
I just got a
idea.
boots, flashlight, and a Swiss Army knife.
Rope?
is anyone packing besides Sting?
What do you mean? I got.
They won't know that I am, but I told you before. I never
Yeah, you
leave
got the
anywhere
Glock.
without it.
Oh yeah, I don't have a gun. Yeah,
No, you
I don't-
okay? You just have the surgical tubing.
Well, yeah, I've got I've got everything on my
And the
sheet.
flask.
Yeah, and I've got flask. Yeah, I'm gonna have to fill the flask. I better write that down with the Kentucky Kraken. Actually, I'm gonna bring 2 jars of Kentucky Kraken.
Is there?
Actually, you know what? I don't think.
So you got a fisherman's vest, got a jar in each side,
Well,
side
I know.
pocket,
I got like a beer holster.
You can hang the hand axe off of it.
in mason jars.
I'm thinking the
Mason
head
jars.
thing, whatever that hat
the
is,
thing,
the
yeah,
helmet
with
with
the tubes that come down. Well, I think I got that surgical tube. And then I do have my flask.
I will have asked for someone to bring bolt cutters, but
Bolt cutters.
Got it.
because if we're gonna be breaking into places that might be sealed, they might be sealed with chain.
Small diesel engine. Right?
But I'm not taking the axe. Actually, I'm trying to whittle this down because I'm like,
All right.
what do I
I
actually
see
take?
you showing up with like a big backpack and
Yeah.
all this gear hanging off. So I mean,
All
that's,
this
you know,
stuff. I'm like,
seems
this guy really he does this a lot, doesn't he?
yeah.
Okay, guys, where are we at?
So we'll pick up at the mouth of the TNT area. Yeah. Anything else anyone wants to do in town before we head
Anybody
out?
write down any food?
Anybody tell anybody
No,
where you're going?
Dropped by the DQ. We picked up stuff through the drive-through.
Anyone
I'm
being
assuming
like,
if it ain't written on our character sheet, we don't have it.
yes, I think
Okay,
that's
I'll
true.
write down
Then
your
I
DQ
will write
orders.
down 1 MRE
TQ orders.
MRE.
because I got that and it has Eddie written on it.
So is anybody letting anybody know where you're going?
I assumed that they were gonna come
I'm kind
back.
of embarrassed.
No. I mean,
So-
are you telling anybody, relatives, family, hey, I'm
No.
going deep into the woods?
I'm
I
gonna
don't
let,
talk to
I'm gonna
my
let
parents.
Crystal know that it's time. We're gonna go the fantasy draw. For the draft for the fantasy league.
Okay.
Starting this week, so I'm gonna take the weekend and meet up with some of the boys, and we're gonna go out to camp, which is where she knows camp as being where our hunting spot is, where we just basically hang out and we go out hunting from.
So basically, Crystal has no idea where
So
we
you're
actually
telling her where you are.
Yeah. Right, I'm telling what Crystal knows is that I'm going to camp to meet up with the boys because fantasy league.
But camp means a different location than you're actually going to.
You're telling her where you are not.
Yes, right.
Yes.
I'm telling
okay.
her. Yeah, I'm
so
telling her.
nobody knows where you guys are.
Nope.
Because I'm crazy, would have thought of something. I have, and I actually take it out of a locked drawer. It's a manifesto, basically. It's all of my research condensed as much as possible.
Okay.
And the note that says I'm heading to the woods. And I basically now drawn on a map now that I have a general idea. This is where I went. If I'm not back, if I do not return, and you find this, the Mothman has got me.
You've been preparing
Yeah.
for this for decades.
Yeah.
How are you feeling as you're beginning this journey?
I feel excited, to be honest, because no one really talks to me anymore, and now I kind of have my friends back around me, and we're going to go find Eddie. And regardless of what they actually think about me, I'm just trying to slip back into our old ways, and just I just want to get out there. I want this. It's been 20 years. I need to
talking
find out
about
an answer.
yeah, talking about slipping back into old ways. Al, you have become the co-captain again.
Mm-hmm.
You're
I get it.
Yeah, second
By
arm.
the way, I also would have grabbed a machete. I wasn't thinking
A
about
machete.
it. Well, we're going in the forest.
Fair
I
enough.
would have invited you, Jimmy, to the mac and cheese feed, but every time I seem to mention you, Crystal gets a little weird.
I could get that. I could understand that. I can't say she was the most warm at your guys' wedding, but
Guys are like standing in the parking lot.
yeah. But I think I told you I did appreciate the invite. The invite it was a beautiful ceremony. How is she doing? You guys, everything good at home?
Well, as long as she doesn't get in the way of me and my dogs, I think we're good. Because you can replace a woman, and she ain't got to be good looking, but I tell you what, you can't replace a good dog.
I'm gonna go ahead and infer where they are in their relationship based on that. Like, okay, so it's good to hear it's going good. Good to hear.
And Johnny, you really didn't think you'd ever be in these woods again. Where are you at?
No, yeah, I'm embarrassed about even humoring Jimmy's wild theories, but
Are you in Armani's with the boots or something?
no, I
a
mean
little
I'm
less?
not doing that good.
All
I
right.
mean I'm
Yeah,
not doing that
seriously.
well. I guess
Yeah. All right.
I'm not investing myself. I'm investing other people's money.
Well,
So
that's normally how you make money.
yeah. I mean,
Look at Bernie Madoff.
It adds up, but it takes a while. Yeah, so I'm not quite at that point. But so I got my I am wearing a suit. I wore a suit to the
You're
to the
wearing a
funeral,
suit
but
to the woods.
I did.
Yep.
I didn't bring clothes to stay the night. I was
wasn't planning on staying.
flying out, after the funeral. So I mean,
Do you bring up your flight to the group?
He's already
yeah,
brought it up
I thought I
once.
did. Yeah, I thought I did.
He's brought it up in the car again.
Yeah.
So when is your flight?
So I was planning on flying out this evening, well, like a late night flight, but I've already postponed that for tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Look at this.
When-
Look at this city slicker.
When
He
we're
looks like a fucking Undertaker, doesn't he?
Kind of.
With them boots on?
Guys, we're coming.
Look,
from a
it
funeral.
looks like he's
What do you
down at
expect?
Reynolds Cemetery.
Loafers or something, Going into the swamp.
He's not up at the nice
Suit
places
on.
like where we just put Eddie in the ground at Pleasant Ridge. He looks like he's cutting up at Reynolds. I think they even closed that thing up.
So when we're at I'm assuming we have to go to like a parking lot or somewhere near the woods.
So you had the option of using the TNT area parking lot, but you guys didn't use that
It's
before.
not the TNT area, right? It's the
like a
Oh, that's
Getaway.
right. Yeah.
It is literally called the TNT area parking lot.
okay.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, we want to travel the same path we went before.
Right. So you guys would pull
been a
up
minute,
to a
right?
trail. Yes, it has.
Why is it still there?
You guys pull up to a trailhead that you haven't been to in a very long time. And there is the sensation of something being missing. There was a fifth, and he's not here anymore. So walking into these woods, you're carrying not only the things that you bought, but also this feeling like there should be something, a step behind you that's not there.
I ate 2 of the potato wedges on the way.
So
Okay.
as we're all getting ready, and everything's getting, I'm gonna go over to Johnny, and hey Johnny, I want to say thank you, for entertaining this and coming down. I know you and mom and dad are tired of me. You're pretty done with me. I get that, and I understand it, but I'm not looking you in the eyes, by the way. I still appreciate it. So thank you.
Yeah, Jimmy. Whatever you say, just don't look too far into it.
Maybe if we figure this out, mom and dad will understand a little bit more. Maybe we can.
One can only hope.
Maybe I'll come to Christmas this year or something. But let's go find some evidence. Let's go find something. And I'll pat him on the shoulder and walk away.
The woods are largely unchanged since you guys have been here last. It's more overgrown, but interesting enough, the trails are a little more worn than they used to be. And you recognize this is probably from people visiting to look for the Mothman, because he is, a point of interest. There's 104 concrete igloos in this area, and each of them originally stored TNT. At this point, a fair share of them have been opened, and their contents have been either removed by the government, or some of them even exploded and blasted the doors off. As you kind of poke your way through these trails, there's a couple places that are still sealed. They have the big industrial locks keeping them shut, but there's just as many that are open, and you remember there being some graffiti from your youth, but looking in them now, they're plastered with obscene anatomical renderings and just different phrases and names and all that good stuff.
On the walk-in, any of you guys see that stupid fucking movie, the Mothman prophecy thing?
Yeah.
Came out about 5 years ago.
Yeah, I did see that. I did.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I couldn't really. They got a lot wrong, or it didn't.
It's all wrong, Jimmy.
It's
Well,
it's probably why all these trails are reworn, right? You figure people are coming out here to find their own prophecy.
Yeah, no, I mean people have been trying to find him for a long time, and we
But I'm assuming that movie kicked things up pretty good.
Yeah, we did see some increased tourism for a little bit. It died down.
And there's quite a few locations in town that cater towards the Mothman fanatic, selling food or different things that have his face or name on them. The local pizzeria has a special Mothman pizza, specifically.
Is there a Mothman museum?
There is.
Yes, there is.
There's actually two.
There's also a movie called Harry and the Hendersons, about the people out west that worship the Sasquatch.
That there Sasquatch. Them there Sasquatches.
I mean, what are you gonna? You got a plan, Jimmy? When we do meet the Mothman, what are we gonna do? We're gonna have a sit down. We're gonna have a campfire, sit down with him, and ask him what happened to our friend, or are we gonna we're gonna kill him? We're gonna call a taxidermy. What are we gonna do?
I think that kind of depends on if we find what we find. If we find that, who am I kidding? No, if you see that son of a bitch, if you see that abomination, we take it down.
You hear a loud rustling in the brush ahead of you. Something is moving towards you fast, and it sounds large.
Cougar. Oh yeah, it's, I'm gonna be
closer
like
now.
I pull up my
I'm
Swiss
like
Army
going
knife
for
and
my
pull the corkscrew
crowbar
out.
because it's the only thing. No, the Bowie knife. They just pull it out.
Through the branches, two men come out. They're wearing hiking gear. One of them is clutching a handheld camcorder, and they stop when they see you, and they say, "Oh, you guys should go back. There's something big out there, something freaky."
Who the hell are you guys? Were you following us?
Who? No, come on, we're recording.
Oh.
But there's like I don't know, some kind of big freaky owl or something. It's
And I'm gonna
screaming
step
out there.
closer.
I'm trying to stay out of the frontal arc of the camera.
I forget that I have the knife out. I say, what do you mean a large owl? What do you mean? I just have it like down like at my side. What do you mean a big
There's
owl?
something just I don't know, man. I don't know
What color was its eyes?
No, it wasn't the Mothman. It was just some big bird or something. It was up in the top of the trees.
Did you get it recorded?
He'll go, I don't know, and then he'll kind of flip open his little camcorder.
And
and
I'm just gonna I'm gonna like try and shove my way over there and to look. I'll put the knife away.
And so what they show you is just a kind of a very shaky camera of bushes.
God damn it!
We're heading out. There's not really a Mothman.
I'll look at them and just shake my head.
How are they dressed?
They're dressed like hikers. They're wearing shorts, little fleece sweaters.
I'll say, well, how far? Actually, I'll shake my head and say, how far did you go in?
Probably mile and a half. I don't know, man.
Did you make it here? And I'll point to the 3. I'll pull out my map and like here.
No, that whole place is it's sectioned off. I thought it was private property.
It is. Yeah. That's well.
No, we're just fucking around the
We're not
TNT
going
igloos.
Oh.
Yeah. No, this is for our vlog.
Okay. Well, it was nice talking to you, whatever. Thanks for the warning. You guys should leave.
That's what we're doing.
Good. Have a good time with your blog. Let's go, guys.
It's a vlog, man.
What's a vlog?
It's they record themselves and put it on the internet.
They were recording. They were trying to record us. You think they could put us up on that interweb thing?
I don't.
And did he say we were going into somewhere that was illegal after being recorded?
I don't think we were being recording right now.
I mean, they were recording. Were they recording when
They were holding it.
Okay. I'll say, hey.
Let's make sure we're all clear.
Hey,
we're
were
on
you
camera.
guys recording what we just said?
I mean,
Did you record us?
maybe there's a little bit of you guys on the end of it.
I'll say, point it over here.
The camera?
Yeah, point it over here.
I mean, you'll pull it up.
We do not consent to have you use that footage.
Oh, great, Jimmy. That'll stop him.
Okay, man. Whatever.
Pull out the surgical tube and just start wrapping it around my fingers.
They. Do you really do that?
Yeah.
They leave quickly. So yeah, the hikers with the video camera, they leave immediately when you start brandishing tubes at them, and you continue into the woods. You know from your maps that there is a main path that will lead you through the TNT igloos to where it kind of opens up to a swamp area with kind of a large pond. And then beyond that, you can start following the road. There's an actual road that leads to the ordnance works.
Okay.
Jimmy, it was a good idea bringing these bolt cutters and just kind of watching Johnny in them slacks. He's not going to be able to climb over the barbed wire.
Hey, Al, when you called me, you never told me we'd be walking through the middle of the woods.
I didn't think we was going to be going through the woods either. It's your crazy brother. Did I say it quiet enough? It's your crazy brother.
It was a good idea. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. Let's just get going. We want to use as much light as possible. Who knows what blocks we'll come up to.
It's not until you reach it's called a pond, but it's really more of a small lake. It's very large, but you realize as you approach this body of water that it has been absolutely silent around you. And what alerts you to that is that there's a crackling noise coming from the water. And you look crackling, kind of like Rice Krispies right after you pour milk in them.
What? Do you guys hear that?
I hear it.
Wait.
No idea
And
what
that's
that is.
all you hear.
Wait.
The water's probably electrified.
Where?
Maybe a down power line.
What? Stain, there ain't no power out here. What the fuck?
Wait. Do you guys?
There's no power out here?
There are no telephone poles in the woods here.
Do you guys hear any?
Are there no lines
birds?
in the ground? Are there no?
It's not a recreational
Completely
lake.
off the grid.
Not where you are.
Okay.
No, I do not hear nothing else. I don't hear. There ain't no birds.
Bugs?
There ain't no bugs. There ain't nothing.
I like frantically swivel around.
Yeah.
Well, this was a military operation site.
I get it. And the whole area is poisoned. It ain't like everything's going to be back here.
So
Do we know from the last time we've been in here? Are there normally? I mean, would we remember that there are normally animal noises or not?
So what you remember from your youth is largely colored by copious amounts of alcohol and lots of sweaty teenagers. I'm not certain that animal noises would have been high on your priority list, with the exception of Stain, who did spend a lot of time out here working on his duck calls. And what you remember is that there were ducks to call.
There were ducks to go.
And you are relatively certain that there's no electrical lines. On paper, officially, you have never found any record of electrical lines connecting to this body of water. There is a thick carpet of duckweed on the top of the water, and there's almost zero movement. There's a slight kind of, waving back and forth from the breeze over the duckweed, but it's still.
What, are there any unusual odors, or is it just like stale water smell? Like
It doesn't smell even like stale water. It just smells like the woods. There's like a loamy, earthy smell. There's the breeze is moving through. You're just getting kind of normal forest smells.
Okay. Guys, it smells like a normal forest. No. So then I'm going to move forward because I want to know what that crackling is. So if nobody else is moving, I'm just going to kind of... And I just imagine with the backpack on me, it's just like... I'm just like moving forward, changling towards the pond.
Yeah, Stain, you can make a pull to try to understand what this crackling noise is.
Okay. And I can't pull from the top, right?
You can't pull from this or this one.
Oh.
Once this one is full, you can pull from that one. It's just from the topmost full level.
Alright. So let's see here.
And I'm sorry I missed that. Are we able to smell a chemical smell or anything like that?
It just smells like woods.
Normal. All
Yeah.
right. The standard does it include kind of the rotten weeds, that kind of thing. Are we more swamp or larger body of water?
Good question. More
You
large
like to push
body
the
of
limit,
water.
don't you, Stain?
I do.
Yeah, Dave has pulled 2 side pieces in a row.
At least they're balanced.
I think it's a vendetta thing.
I countered.
Who
the,
are you after, Stain?
I pulled this one, and then to counter it, the
Are you
weight
going to do a
balance it,
zipper
I
all
did
the way
that.
down? Is it?
Perfectly done.
I thought that far. I kind of take like Pedro's approach to liar's dice. I just go with the one
do
that
it.
feels right.
So after a successful pull, something clicks for you. You know that this sound is little tiny fish sucking on the bottom of the duckweed, and it makes a little popping noise.
Okay.
Do you share this information?
But to me, it seems normal.
Yes, absolutely. You're like, oh, duh, it's
So I
just
probably
fish.
have no reason, unless people are freaking out, right?
Well, I know that Jimmy is clanking his way towards the water.
I'm like clanking over there, and I'm pulling out my crowbar just to have something to kind of like swat at the water.
I'm not too interested. I'm just assuming there's a good explanation for this.
Yeah, the silence is unsettling, though. Aside from this crackling noise, there is no birds,
No crickets, no frogs.
no mosquitoes, no frogs, nothing. Those hikers were the loudest thing that you've encountered.
So when I get to the edge of the water, is the water close? Like,
Yeah, you can approach the water
so
easily.
if I approach the water, do I see anything?
You see duckweed.
And I hear the crackling.
Oh yes.
So I just take the thing and I kind of move the
What thing?
my crowbar and just kind of like move the duckweed aside.
Okay.
The hell are you doing, Jimmy?
Well, the crackling it's coming from right here. I don't know what it is.
Oh. You've been gone that long?
What?
You know that's the fish feeding on the duckweed.
Oh.
You lost your inner redneck, haven't you?
Well, I haven't been out in these woods for 20 years.
You're gonna need some remedial redneck training when we get back. But yeah, it's the fish. They're eating on. They're chowing on the duckweed.
Oh, okay. And I'll slip the crowbar back, and I'm gonna pull out like my little journal and just like kind of quickly sketch some duckweed and like a really crappy drawing of a fish beneath it.
What are you doing?
Well, I need to make notes of everything we see. In case somebody.
You gonna post this in some kind of a government subsidized journal?
No. This doesn't leave me unless we don't make it out of this, and then hopefully somebody finds it and picks up.
We're
where we
making it
left
out.
off.
What do you mean, don't make it out of this?
Well, and I'll stand up and say, well, we're going after the Mothman. We really don't know what's gonna happen.
We capture him. We'll bind him in my surgical tube, and I got 3 feet worth. Properly stretch. Probably get about another 2 feet out of this.
As certain as Jimmy is, there is an unknown out here. You don't know what happened to Eddie. You have guesses. You have assumptions. What happened wasn't a good thing, and you are all marching directly towards it. The sensation of the gravity of what exactly you're walking into settles over you as you stand before this crackling body of water. And each of you kind of thinks on, is this honor-bound duty to a childhood friend, is it potentially worth your life? And is it worth walking into the unknown with just what you have on your body? And the quietness, it instead of muffling these nerves, it almost amplifies them. And we're going to end Act 1 there.
Okay.
All right. At the duck pond.
At the duck pond.
I
ready
feel
to
very
head deeper
comfortable
in the woods. Thank you for joining us on another NCRP Productions podcast. We couldn't do this without you, so please like and subscribe everywhere we're found, including YouTube, Facebook, Anchor, Google, Apple, Spotify, and other great podcast sites. If you'd like to help us continue making more content, we'd love to have your support on our Patreon. And if you have any feedback for us, please feel free to comment on our podcasts or email us directly at ncrpproductions@gmail.com. And we'd like to give a special shout out to our current patrons, our Siegson Employees of the Month, F.S., Michael H., Michael P., and our Breaker of Seals, the Jones, Frank H., Christopher C., Matthew K., and the Lab. Trademarked. Thank you all. We truly, truly appreciate it.